In a small southern Missouri neighborhood, a homeowner named Brian is having a problem. This is Brian's neighbor.
Hey, Brian, you got a minute?
And also Brian's problem.
Brian. Hey, Brian.
The neighbor likes to visit Brian. A lot.
I have something you'll want to hear, Brian. Brian, don't be scared.
The neighbor also likes to come over with a drink and pull Brian into his quirky dramas.
Everything will make a lot more sense to you if you have a conversation. You're not in trouble for what you did. It was part of the plan. You're on a bigger thing than you're aware of.
Brian has no idea what his neighbor is talking about. And when he refuses to answer the door, the neighbor leaves Brian a video message.
I'll just talk to your camera for a minute, since you're not going to sit out and open it here.
Brian and his neighbor go way back. The two were actually high school friends over 25 years ago.
Hey, Brian, I know what's going on, and it'll help you. I know how to help you. Go outside. It's not what you think it is. I got it too.
But since moving next door to each other over a decade ago, Brian has had enough of being pulled into his neighbor's elaborate stories.
I know about the train. I know about what happened with him.
So Brian stops answering his door, but that doesn't stop his neighbor from continuing to visit. Until one afternoon, Brian hears the neighbor making strange noises outside his house. Brian is prepared to, once again, not answer the door, but this time the neighbor won't be ignored.
Give me the voodoo doll, you.
Brian calls the police, and according to court records, the neighbor is ticketed for destruction of property for breaking Brian's door. After the door attack, Brian has zero tolerance for his neighbor.
Hey, Brian. Dial 911.
And he threatens to call the police anytime the neighbor steps foot on his porch. After living next to each other for nearly a decade, the neighbor finally gets the hint. And while he's no longer paying Brian any visits, he still sends him messages over his security camera. It's not uncommon for an intense domestic dispute to go from a private moment to one that plays out in front of the entire neighborhood. And tonight at an apartment complex in Waipahu, the woman recording is woken in the middle of the night by the screams of multiple neighbors.
You better not hit my car.
She rushes down the stairs and is horrified by what she sees. A man violently swinging a bat, threatening neighbors and striking their cars. The man swings the bat wildly in the air, slamming it on the ground, and the neighbors can do nothing but stand by screaming. Suddenly, the enraged man turns his rampage back to one of the neighbors' cars.
Hey! Those are not your car!
Smashing out windows one at a time. According to media reports, investigators spend the following weeks looking to press assault and property damage charges, but are unable to identify the man or move forward with the investigation. Later, the neighbors decide to band together to create a neighborhood watch, and there have been no late-night parking lot brawls waking the neighborhood since.
Hey! Those are not your car!
For anglers, living near an accessible lake that's a good fishing spot is a dream come true. And it's why lifelong Georgia resident Samuel Ibrahim loves his neighborhood.
Go do some fishing, boys.
The neighborhood that I live in, we have a nice little lake, and I really enjoy fishing. You know, I love being out there and just relaxing. You know, we don't really get a lot of drama.
One day, While Samuel and his friend are filming fishing videos to post on social media, the relaxing afternoon is interrupted when he sees his friend being confronted by a pair of angry neighbors.
My friend and I were just out there fishing, and then I noticed that the older couple was actually starting to approach him, so I just started sprinting over there to see what was going on. I've seen the lady a couple times before, but this is actually my first time seeing the man.
Samuel approaches the couple, scolding his friend, ready to hear their complaints about him and his friend fishing.
You're not supposed to be fishing here. This is private property.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
See that?
It's H-O.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Come here, I got something to show you.
The couple insists again and again that the lake is actually owned by their homeowners association. But Sam, having dealt with issues like this before, has come prepared to prove the lake is public.
I actually went out and printed a tax document with the land on it, showing that it was indeed owned by the county and not by the HOA of the neighborhood.
All right, you see this? See that piece of land? That's that right there. Who owns it? Gwinnett County.
That's right, but it's our HOA.
No, it's not.
This is our
No, it's not.
HOA lake that we
It's not
pay
private.
$200
Let me
a
tell you
month
something.
for.
It's not private. Well, this is public. It's not HOA.
No,
The lot down there, yo, no.
HOA
No,
here.
it's not.
I'll
Yes,
tell you what,
it
I'll
is.
have the police explain it to you.
Or you can. I'll show them this.
Kind enough to tell me your name.
I'm not gonna tell you my name.
They started asking me for my name, and I didn't want to tell them because I have no idea what they can do with my name.
We're getting the cops calling us. We're fishing in a. We're fishing in a lake.
Samuel and his friend walk away from the older couple and decide to cast a few more lines while they wait for police to arrive and to talk a little smack about their neighbors.
I pay $300 a month.
I pay more for my MTV boxes.
I was already pretty frustrated with the whole situation, so I could have been more respectful, but I was just fed up by this point. I just wanted a one good day of fishing with my good old buddy.
No, we're going to get 2 more signs.
Right after she tried to show us the signs, the man approached us, and I started talking to him one-on-one.
What are we doing that's wrong to disturb you? Just let me in on that.
Is it wrong to steal?
We're not stealing.
What does that mean to you? If somebody steals from me,
Well, what are we stealing? What are we stealing?
are you doing what's right? You're breaking the law.
We started being very calm and civil. I can tell that he's not going to let up anytime soon, so we ended up leaving just to avoid any other bad things.
Oh, shoot. I got my fishing license in here, too.
The police never arrive, so Samuel and his friend pack up for the day and leave this prized fishing lake behind with no plan to return. And though these neighbors may have taken away a great fishing hole, as any angler knows, there's no use dwelling on the one that got away.
I am definitely a little bit upset that they ended up ruining a spot that I've been going to for a very long time, but you know, there are plenty of spots around where I live, and I ended up finding some better ones.
And in Las Sendas, Arizona, a different woman's walk in nature is also interrupted by an irate neighbor who says she is trespassing.
It's not your property.
What does the trail say? Where does the trail say?
Are you being aggressive with me?
No, I'm calling the police.
Go ahead. Because it actually belongs to Las Sendas.
No, it doesn't.
The property
You walked
lines.
off the trail. That's why.
The woman claims that a public path goes in front of this neighbor's house, but the neighbor insists that the trail is a few feet away, and he's calling the police.
Yeah, I've got a woman trespassing on our property. Could you send police over right away? We feel that we're threatened. We've got her on video as well. Please, it's an emergency.
It is not an emergency. I'm on the trail.
Believing she is on a public right-of-way, the hiker pushes back.
Do you see those property spikes? I was not on your
The woman is
property.
very aggressive.
I am not aggressive.
Do you know this person?
No, I don't.
she's
And I'm not
trespassing
being
on our
aggressive.
property.
And I'm not trespassing.
And we have her on video. I can't tell if she has weapons or not.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
The hiker's tone becomes exasperated, but the neighbor stands his ground.
We've got the woman trespassing on the property.
No,
Please
it's
send
not
police over immediately. We
trespassing.
want her arrested.
Have officers en route.
Thank you.
I need you to answer my question. How old is
You know, I'm a
She appears to be
veteran.
about 35 to 40 years old.
I'm 57, and I'm a veteran,
57.
and I was not trespassing on his property.
We're very threatened. Thank you.
You're not
Thank you.
threatened.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
At this point, the hiker stops recording and leaves. According to media reports, after the police see the footage, the neighbor is cited for disorderly conduct and false reporting to law enforcement.
Could you send police over right away? We feel that we're threatened. That's hanging out.
The neighbor makes a public apology. He says that prior to this heated standoff, the city of Mesa had rerouted the hiking trail a few feet away from his house because the mountain is too steep to hike safely. But it's clear that throwing shade on a sunny mountain trail is a slippery slope for neighbor relations.
Got the woman trespassing on the property.
No.
There's a much smaller smoking section in the neighborhood these days, forcing some neighbors to take their cigarette breaks outside their windows or pushing them to the rooftops, like this city woman having a quick puff. But in a small Ontario suburb, smoking on the street still isn't far enough for one neighbor.
Your excessive smoking and unusual behavior parked directly in front of my home every single day, every 2 hours, constitutes some sort of criminal activity that I'm simply not comfortable with.
A man records his neighbor complaining about the smoking habits occurring in front of her house. The man's son likes to hang out by his car, which is parked on a public road, and smoke.
Is there a reason why all of you need to be standing in front of my home every single day, every 2 hours? We're not in front of your home.
After a few minutes, she goes inside, and things begin to calm down.
Perfect.
But a few days later, the neighbor is outside complaining again.
Okay, so then why are you in front of my house?
This is public street, you don't own it.
You live over there.
But this time, the father recording interrupts.
Excuse me?
My address. Please don't get involved. I have nothing to do with it. You're not stalking me, sir. Don't get involved.
You're the new problem. I'm involved.
The man recording speaks up for his son as tempers rise.
This is a public road.
Why are you in front of
This
my
is
house?
apparently her house. Her house is way over there. I've lived here for 7 years.
And as the neighbors inch closer and closer,
You are in front of my home.
You're harassing us.
You are in front of my home.
You're harassing us.
any chance of ending this peacefully is quickly going up in smoke.
You're harassing us. You're still harassing.
And for nearly a half hour, they continue to argue in the street until eventually both sides walk away, leaving nothing resolved. The man claims he and his family are still at war with their neighbor.
Leave Karen alone. Leave Karen alone.
Where she continues to huff.
So why are you in front of my home?
As long as they continue to puff. It's a late evening in Los Angeles, and neighbors in an apartment building are being woken up by a man ranting and raving outside on their street. A warning, this story gets intense. The man is shouting that neighbors will, quote, get what's coming to them for their ignorance, and it has everyone watching inside terrified.
You will reap what you sow.
Suddenly, his cries to the neighbor get even more threatening. But in his passionate words about seeing the light, he fails to see the literal lights heading right for him. EMTs soon arrive, and miraculously, the man only suffers minor injuries. A laceration to the back of the head and some road rash. In the following days, even though police determine the man is at fault for stepping into the street, they open an investigation because the driver allegedly failed to stop and offer aid, but they are never found or identified. Because nobody is seriously hurt in this incident, it serves as a serious reminder. Always look both ways, whether you plan on crossing the street or yelling at your neighbors.
You will reap what you sow.
In this Atlanta apartment complex, a woman's door camera catches her next-door neighbor's odd behavior outside her door. But one day, the neighbor's ritual hits a little too close to home.
Whoa, somebody just threw this at the door.
The woman's door cam catches her reaction to discovering a large wet splatter on her doorstep. The door cam also records when the police arrive, and the woman shows them the wet spot.
Just open my door and see this. It's coming from her door. She throws it real quick.
The woman claims her neighbor has thrown an unknown liquid on her door and doormat.
That's exactly what it smells.
The woman begins recording on her phone as they knock on her neighbor's door. But as she's questioned by the police, the neighbor has a divine explanation.
It's holy water.
Perhaps in an attempt to purify her surroundings, the neighbor claims to have doused the door with holy water. But whether holy water or not, the woman thinks her neighbor made an unholy mess.
We're gonna be civil. You're too old for this, I'm too old for this. This needs to be cleaned. This is not my mess. It's highly disgusting.
It's holy water.
Clean your mess.
The neighbor asks the woman to be more specific.
How can I clean the mess? What, throw another cup of water? Is the water you want me to do? Get on my knees? At first or whatever, I thought you were cool.
Ma'am, I don't care. I just want this mess cleaned, please.
As tempers continue to rise, the officer intervenes.
I would just recommend going into your apartment.
Yeah.
Both neighbors agree to go inside and let things calm down.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
No further updates on this feud, but the neighbor now keeps her holy water at home